Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything. Continuing today with drawing every country in the world's flag and getting one step closer, just one though, one step closer to finishing off South America, and we're going to be doing the landlocked country of Bolivia. Right, so Bolivia, named after Simon Bolivar, this country has something kind of unique going on with its flag. But just first to start here, it does have a tricolor bar flag, and see, we already got a tricolor bar here from Serbia. So Serbia, if you don't mind, I'm just going to borrow a line from you. And, borrowing a line when talking about South American countries, that might have some unintended implications here. So no, I don't mean it like that. But yes, this is a country that's known for that. All right, so like a lot of these Latin American countries, very heavy drug trafficking, especially like in the 80s. But yeah, we'll get to all that when we talk about the history of Bolivia. So home to some ancient Incan peoples until the colonial age. And then, of course, in the colonial age, it was settled by the Spanish. So they begin conquering the Incan Empire in 1524. And the territory was known as Charcas, under the authority of Spain. Mainly, it was like a mining town. One of the kind of mishaps, though, of the Spanish Empire in the New World was that they did a little too much mining, right? They mined a little too hard. So it was a very kind of a singular focused economy. So after the mining kind of dried up, they did see some economic hard times. But it was an important source of revenue for the Spanish Empire by the late 16th century. And yeah, so Spain, colonialism doesn't always mean that, you get rich off of it, right? So Spain, kind of an example. Spanish colonialism kind of weakened Spain, right? It's a little bit different than, they had a different approach than like what the British did, but eventually that kind of came back and bit the British too. But Spain starts to get weaker during this time. They're defeated by Napoleon in the early 19th century. It's kind of really where you can start to see the decline. And with that decline comes, rising independence movements in their American possessions. So there is a Bolivian kind of nationalist movement and a struggle for independence. There is a revolution in 1809, the La Paz Revolution, and that kind of sets off like a split from the Spanish government. And they depose the Spanish king, right? So, well, the Spanish king was deposed by Napoleon. So it sets off a little bit of unrest here in Spain's American possessions. And early 19th century, this is kind of happening everywhere in the Americas, the Spanish Americas. Bolivia being no different. And this is kind of where Bolivia gets its name from. The hero Again, we mentioned Simón Bolivar. He's kind of a hero in a lot of these Latin American countries. And that led to a republic being proclaimed on August 6, 1825. Okay, so Bolivia does become independent. And independence, pretty rocky road, to say the least. Bolivia kind of has a lot of trouble with their neighbors, right? So what is now Bolivia is much smaller than what was once Bolivia, right? So they lose territory over a long period of time to a series of enemies. They go to war with basically all of their neighbors, and this does result in them becoming landlocked. And if you look at the borders of Bolivia, like where they stand with their neighbors, Chile basically cuts off Bolivia from the Pacific Ocean. And if you know what Chile looks like, you might think, Chile, do you really need more of a coastline? Like, you're basically just one giant coastline. But yeah, that's what happened. So yeah, this is all throughout like the 19th century. They go to war with Peru. There's a war with Argentina. So yeah, it's a rocky road once they're an independent state. Yeah, let me just it's one of those South American flags. It's got a real tiny little coat of arms in there, so you just got to map that out. So bear with me here. All these South American flags, right? They always gotta be a pain. These tiny little emblems and whatnot. You could say, James, well, why don't you just draw them bigger? It's like, guys, when I started this project, I told you these were all going to be micro drawings. Can't change midstream, right? I started this, and I'm going to finish it. And so, let's see here. I just want to get out a couple more colors here to work on this. It's got a little tiny burb up top. Go back to that green. Yeah, it's one of those flags that kind of has like a little landscape kind of design in the center. And let's just see a couple more things here. And we're going to hit all of this with a fine marker at the end, just kind of delineate some of that detail. Delineating. Constant delineating on these South American flags. Okay. Not a word I use in my everyday vocabulary. Delineate. Alright, so I think that's pretty good as far as the colors go. And then it's just got yellow in the middle. It's kind of like a Pan-African flag, right? Okay. So yeah, big period of instability in the 19th century. And yeah, so they lose a lot of territory, over half of it actually, since independence, through their neighboring countries. So yeah, Bolivia, maybe not a good neighbor. The Madre de Dios River Basin, they lose the territory of Peru's in the Amazon to Peru. And then in the late 19th century, there is an increase in the price of silver globally, so that gives it a little bit of prosperity and some stability. Give me just a second here. I just want to get one of my... small pens here just to kind of, again, delineating, just massive amounts of delineating going on here. I think I've used the word delineate more in the 10 minutes or so I've been doing this episode than I have in my entire life. And again, you know, James learns stuff on this channel too. I expand my vocabulary. So just delineate some of these little flags they got going down the side. Okay. I think that's enough delineating for one day, James. Give it a rest. And what else can you tell us about Bolivia? So, the CIA kind of is fighting off communism, right, in South America, like right in the latter half of the Cold War. And this is actually where Che Guevara was killed, so that's pretty cool. Of course, we're not a fan of that here. A fan of communism, not a fan of killing communists. So, Bolivia is it was a hot spot in the Cold War as far as communists, communist subversion, closely aligned with Cuba, the Soviet Union, all that stuff. And you know, again, kind of going towards the end of the Cold War into the 80s, big trafficker of cocaine and drugs. Communism falls, though, and they transition to democracy, and they get a little bit of political stability, but there's still, you know, kind of a lot of upheaval, you know, kind of going up and down. And before we get into modern Bolivia, we can just kind of explain what this flag means. So we got 3 equal bands of the red, yellow, and green, and then there's that coat of arms in the center. The red, I don't even have to tell you, right? The red is the blood, the national heroes, that bloody sacrifice for the nation of Bolivia. The yellow, mineral resources, right? Just the minerals, though, not the cocaine resources, just the minerals, all that gold and silver. And the green is the fertility of the land. All right. So, with that said, there is something kind of unique about the Bolivian flag, because they have 2 flags. Right, so Bolivia was part of what's called a pink wave in South America. So this is like a movement towards like kind of what Venezuela has, right, with their massive socialist programs, right, communist light, and very kind of left wing. And as a result of that, it did lead to Bolivia adopting a dual flag. That sounds pretty cool, like, right? We like dueling here just to settle our differences. No, James, not the cool duel. Just duel as in 2. Oh, okay. Well, that could be cool too, right? 2 is just a number, right? A number's neutral. Well, we'll get to the reasons for why they have this dual flag in just a minute here. And yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. All right, so it's got like 7. This thing's just like a giant Rubik's Cube. Probably should have did this before I started the episode. Alright. So 7 on top, or 7. Two. Or actually, we're doing a Spanish episode, so dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, okay. So this thing is called the Wipala. All right, so the Wipala, it's meant to represent like the indigenous peoples, right, of Bolivia, right? Not the Spanish. So now they fly this flag in addition to the national flag. Whenever there's a public event or anything like that. So this flag is considered to have, just as much meaning as like the national flag. And yeah, Bolivia has a lot like Venezuela has taken a really left turn, in recent years. I think that stuff is kind of changing, right? Though as of January 2025, as I'm doing this episode, right? The world is a moving, right? And I think with the new administration in the United States coming in, we might be looking at a lot of this stuff as kind of goofy, to be honest, in retrospect. But yeah, they do have a president right now that's very hardcore into all the left-wing causes, right? All the socialism, all the indigenous peoples, affirmative action, things like that, nationalizing all of their industry. So stop me if you've heard this one before, right? Because we've seen this tried in Latin America numerous times, and it always results in economic catastrophe. Right? Just again, you don't have to go far, right? Just go up north just a little bit. Look at Venezuela, right? Where they're eating cats and dogs because they don't have food, right? There's bread lines. Bread lines are a good thing, though, right? Because that means people are lining up for food, right? And it's not being hoarded by those greedy capitalists. Well, we'll see what happens, Bolivia. And again, it is a country that does have a lot of natural resources, but if you nationalize industry, we saw it in Chile. in the 70s before Pinochet took over. We saw it in Argentina for, almost all of their existence. And not saying like, Bolivia always kind of been a little bit of an unstable place. Again, constant wars with the neighbors. Always very friendly to communists and socialists and whatnot, but we will see what happens. Again, I think the world is kind of moving in a different place right now, and this sort of Obama era globalist socialist sort of stuff, I think it's falling out of fashion. So that is just a little bit more on that. That's again the Wapala flag, and they can fly it with the Bolivian flag, and again it represents like all the different peoples, and you've heard this one before because it kind of looks similar to another flag that just has to throw every single color in the world on it, right? So that was Evo Morales as the president, and he was one of the indigenous people of Peru, and renamed the country too, right? So it's still called Bolivia, but now it's the plurinational state of Bolivia, right? So representing all the different groups of people that are in Bolivia. And he was the movement towards socialism party. So again, there was a little bit of an interruption in his term, before he became president again. And so something tells me that maybe this won't last, but we'll see, right? So if at first you don't succeed, try again, right? That's the communist left-wing socialist motto, right? Just try it a million times. Doesn't matter how hard you tank the economy, how much you starve your people, right? As long as you just keep trying. So that is Bolivia's flag. This is ugly. Sorry, Bolivia, it is. But let's get this out of here. And so let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video.